And Dr. Bradley Nelson, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time to share with us about your incredible work with the book The Emotion Code, bestseller around the world. Tell us, what does healing from the inside out mean for you?
Well, first of all, let me just say how excited I am to be here with all of you. I think that your movement is so needed, and I know that it's going to keep growing and continuing. And so my prayer is that that will happen, and this will just grow and fill the world. Um, well, healing from the inside, uh, to me, all healing takes place from inside out. And of course, to me, it has to do with the body being an energy field, really. And we don't normally think of that. At least most people don't think of our bodies that way. But the body, of course, is just an energy field when you get right down to it. And so those emotional energies, those intense events that we go through, um, we're built to survive, and so we move on with our lives, but yet we carry that emotional baggage then in so many cases with us. And what I've learned is that all the symptoms that we have, whether they're mental or emotional, whether they're depression or anxiety or phobias or panic attacks or PTSD or eating disorders or sabotage of some kind that we do to ourselves, or whether it's infertility or asthma or digestive problems or some kind of named disease, or whether it's just physical pain, emotional baggage is always present. And in many cases, by removing that emotional baggage, by removing those energies that are imbalancing that body's energy field, those things change, those symptoms can change. And to me, all of those symptoms, all of the things that manifest in our lives that are not really what we would like to have, all of those symptoms, mental, emotional, or physical, if you can't find your soulmate, if you don't have enough money in your bank account, you can't seem to create the life you want. The first place to look is really emotional baggage, and that's all inside. So cleaning really that energy field of who we really are, and becoming more pristine and more pure beings, more clear vessels, is such a wonderful thing. And really what it's all about, to me, ultimately, is it's all about unconditional love and our ability to feel that and give that. And the more of that baggage we have, the harder that is to do. And so the world is filling up gradually with people who have made that ascension. They're on that path, and the path to me is all about unconditional love. And that, I think, is, you see in the world these opposing forces of dark and light, and hatred and unconditional love. And unconditional love is going to win the battle. And it's exciting to be on the earth at this time when finally things are coming to a head. The earth, to me, is in labor, and it's trying to bring forth this whole new world. And so it's so exciting to be a part of this. And I want to thank you for inviting me tonight, because it's through the kind of work that you're doing that the vibrational level of this world is raising. And as it raises, there's no going back. So thank you.
So beautiful, Dr. Nelson. Thank you so much. And Dr. Bradley Nelson, I know we only have a short time left before we wrap up this early show. Tell us, what would be some tools? You obviously have a plethora of tools in your amazing books, The Emotion Code. Please talk to us a little bit about what some of your favorite tools are to connect to that inner wholeness within ourselves.
Well, the most important part of the Emotion Code book is the part about the heart, because the heart is really the core of our being and the seat of our soul and the source of love and romance. And the heart of each one of us contains, I believe, a perfect blueprint of what our life can be. But the problem is our heart gets hurt. And there are times in our lives when we feel like our heart is breaking, and we feel that physical sensation, that pressure on the chest, and so on. And when that's going on, what happens is, in many cases, the subconscious mind will put up a wall around that heart. And that wall is an energy wall. It's an invisible wall. And it's made of it's literally made of your emotional baggage. And so I believe that one of the very most important things you can do for yourself is to take down that wall. Now, there may be other ways to do it. The emotion code teaches you how to do it. It's all very simple, and you can learn how to do it yourself. You don't have to hire someone if you don't want to. You can do it yourself. Lots of people have. And it's a matter of finding and taking out and releasing all of that baggage so that your heart can be open again. And what's fascinating about this is that when that wall is taken down, people spontaneously fall in love sometimes, pretty often, really. People find that creative ideas start to flow for them, ideas that they never would have considered, because the best ideas that you'll ever have will really not come from this brain. They'll come from this brain, right? But the problem is, if you've got this big wall around your heart from, being abused as a child or bullied, or maybe your parents went through a divorce, or maybe you went through a divorce, or maybe you had a bad job, or whatever it is, that can be the biggest thing in your way of healing physically and mentally and emotionally. So that's the most important part, really, of the work that I have done. And it's and I never in my wildest dreams would have thought of this myself, but in the book it tells you how this was really discovered, and it's an incredible story. How it was really shown to me in vision. I saw it, and another interesting thing about it is that many times people have told us that when that wall is taken down, they suddenly can feel connected to the Creator. They feel the love of the Creator for them, which is such a profound thing, really, since it's all about unconditional love. So anyway.
Yeah, and I must say, Dr. Nelson, it's so interesting that you bring that up when Dr. Bradley Nelson, what a pleasure to have you here with us today for this incredible show of healing from the inside out.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. It really is an honor for me to be here with all of you. And I'm so excited to be here with you too. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing. And it's a movement that I just hope continues to spread and fills the world. We're living in such an interesting time, aren't we? with these forces that are kind of battling it out, but we know how it turns out in the end. The light prevails, right? So it's exciting.
Thank you so much. So, Dr. Brad, in case people are not familiar with the emotion code, could you take us through a little bit about what the emotion code is about? And I remember in the show we did, you kind of gave me the example of the sway test, which I share with unwitting strangers. I was like, I learned the coolest thing from Dr. Bradley Nelson, because we don't realize our body's innate ability to heal itself. So, talk to us a little bit about that, if you don't mind.
Well, absolutely. Well, our bodies are made of energy, right? And it's something that's that we know is true, but that we have a little bit of a hard time wrapping our heads around, because we're so much in the physical world, so many of us, so much of the time. But if you look at your hand, you know that your hand is solid. It makes a nice thunk sound when you slap it down on the desk. But if you were to put your hand under a big enough microscope and continue to zoom in and zoom in and zoom in at about 850,000 times magnification, you might be looking at a strand of DNA. And if you continue magnifying that at about 1 million times magnification or more, eventually you're looking at that basic building block of everything, the atom. And if you look inside there, there's really nothing in there. It's all just energy. And so when you're feeling an intense emotion, sometimes that emotional energy can be a little bit too much for you to process. And so the energy of that emotion can remain behind in the body. And we call that a trapped emotion. It's a little ball of energy from about the size of a baseball to about the size of a softball or maybe a small melon. And these inhabit our bodies, and they distort the normal energy field of the body. And when you distort the normal energy field of the body, you're distorting ultimately the tissues that those energies make up, and you're interfering with the flow of meridian energy and the chi, and you're interfering with the blood flow and the lymph flow to some degree. And so what happens is, because of that interference, and these energies can lodge anywhere in the body, because of that interference that they cause, they are the single biggest cause of physical pain on the planet. And we've proven this over and over and over for many, many years now, all over the world. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, emotional baggage is the biggest factor. 90% of all the physical pain that people have is due to their emotional baggage. So if you think about this right now, undoubtedly out of the many, many people that are on the show right now, quite a few of them probably have some kind of physical pain. And in the vast majority of those cases, that physical pain is the subconscious mind trying to tell you that you're still carrying some baggage from your divorce, or when you were abused as a child, or from those difficult things that you've lived through. And so it's so fascinating, because physical pain is just the easiest symptom, the most common symptom, I think. It's like a check engine light in your car. If the check engine light comes on in your car, you know you need to see a mechanic. And the body has lots of different kinds of check engine lights. The most common one is pain, but there are other ones as well. Sometimes there's disease that happens to us. Sometimes we deal with depression or anxiety or phobias or panic attacks or PTSD or eating disorders or other kinds of self-sabotage, or we can't conceive a child, or we have asthma or some kind of digestive problem or some other kind of physical, mental, or emotional problem going on. And the first place to look is emotional baggage, because about 80% of the time when you find the emotional baggage that is the underlying cause of these mental, emotional, and physical symptoms, the symptoms seem to go away. Now, we don't promote the emotion code as a cure for anything, but what we believe is that emotional baggage is the single biggest underlying common denominator for all of the symptoms that we suffer from. And so it's all about unconditional love, and it's all about clearing our energy fields, right? When we come into this world, by and large, we have this pure, pristine, clear energy field. And then things start happening to us. Life starts happening. Welcome to planet Earth, right? And we start developing these little trapped emotions, these little balls of dark energy in our bodies. And so by the time we get to be 40 years old or a little older, we might have quite a lot of these. And so rather than being a nice, clear, clean, pristine energy field, what we have is, it's an energy field that's full of all these dark clouds. It's like there's a storm going on, a storm front's going through, and it's stuck in our bodies. So as we start to get rid of this emotional baggage, it's essentially removing these little dark areas of energy in our bodies. And at a certain point, many people have said that they feel like they're stepping out of this old skin they've been walking around in. And you see, our emotional baggage distorts who we are supposed to be. And by getting rid of enough of that baggage, we get back to who we are capable of being and who we really are intended to be. And we find that our ability to love more expands, and we're able to overcome things that used to really bother us or plague us or keep us bound to the earth, and in that vibrational sense. And so we're able to rise, and we become lighter. In fact, one of my favorite stories was a practitioner went to work on this woman at her home. And she happened to work on this woman's son as well, who was about, I think, 10 years old. And after she got done working on him, he bolted out of the room. And they were looking at each other, wondering where he went. And about a minute or so later, he came back in with this puzzled look on his face. And his mother said, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And he said, "Well," he said, "I weighed myself this morning on the scale, and I know exactly how much I weighed then." And he said, "I know that I'm lighter now. I have to be at least 10 pounds lighter, but I weigh the same. I don't understand." And so feeling lighter is one of those side effects of getting rid of that baggage.
So beautiful, Dr. Nelson. And we have actually a question in the chat from Karima asking, how do we get rid of emotional baggage? And I'm going to ask a precursor question to that, if you don't mind. The precursor question is, instead of knowing how to get rid of it, how do we even know if we have it? And how many of these little dark circles do we have? Talk to us a little bit about that, please.
Yes. Well, my experience is that we all have emotional baggage. Now, if we have a high level of emotional intelligence and we're able to really deal with things without getting upset in our lives, we'll have less emotional baggage than someone who tends to be volatile and flies off the handle a lot. But we all have emotional baggage. So how do we know we have it? Well, it's an interesting thing. What we have to do is we have to have a way to tap into the subconscious mind. That subconscious mind within you, I believe, is so vastly intelligent that we have not really even begun to explore what it's capable of and how powerful it is. I remember for many years, I used to teach people that we use 10% of our intelligence consciously. And then after years of that, I thought, well, it can't be 10%. So maybe it's 5%. I've heard other people say that. So then for a while, I taught that. And then it was only a few years ago that I actually realized, I've never actually asked about this. I've never asked the higher power about this. I've never really tested this to see. And so what I did is I prayed about this and asked for some guidance. And then I did some testing. And you can do this yourselves if you want to. What I found blew my mind, because what I found was that we use 0.0000000001% of our intelligence consciously. Now, if you think about it, when people die and they go to the other side, they often come back and report how their mind expanded to this amazing degree. And sometimes they're able to ask as many questions as they want simultaneously, and the answers all flow in spontaneously and are understood perfectly. And I think that that gives us a little bit of a glimpse into who we really are. We come into this world, and I believe that somehow those memories of who we are before we appeared here are blocked to us in some way. So we don't remember. All we know is here we are. And I think that there are divine reasons for that. But I think that as time goes on and we leave this existence, that all of those memories come back to us of all of our ages of existence. I think we're all eternal beings that have, I think we've always existed and we always will exist. So it's fascinating to think about. Well, we have to tap into that subconscious mind because it remembers. It's like a holographic archiving computer. It knows the history of every cell in your body. And you've got about 37 trillion of those. And they say that every cell is equivalent in complexity to a full-size aircraft carrier with jets on the ramp with their engines spooled up, ready to take off, and thousands of people working at all their individual jobs. That's a single cell, 37 trillion of those. And the subconscious mind, your subconscious mind, knows the history of every single cell in your body. It knows exactly what you need to be well. It knows exactly what emotional baggage you have. It knows exactly what that baggage is doing to you. It knows if you're diagnosed with cancer, it knows exactly why you're manifesting that. It knows that if you are having a hard time manifesting love in your life, your subconscious mind knows what the blocks are. So how do we tap into the subconscious mind? Well, the easiest way to do it, one of the ways that we teach, and the first method that you learn in the Emotion Code book is called the Sway Test. So I can walk you through that right now if you'd like.
Please.
Yes.
Dr. Brad, we'd love that.
Okay, awesome. So here's what you do. Now, if it's possible for you there, as you're watching, just stand up if you can. If you can't stand, you can sit right on the edge of your chair. And it works better if you're standing. Now, if you're driving, just do this later, okay? We don't want you to have an accident. So just stand there, close your eyes, drop your hands down by your sides. Take a breath. Let that breath out. And as you stand there and attempt to stand still, you'll notice there's a little bit of movement going on. It's impossible really to stand perfectly still. Even at Buckingham Palace, those guards, if you look at them very closely, there's a little bit of movement going on, and that's normal. That's just your postural muscles working to keep you standing upright. But now, what I'd like to share with you is that they've done studies and they found that plants, of course, we know that plants will grow towards light coming in from a window. They'll also grow towards beautiful sounds coming out of a speaker, like lullabies and classical music and so on. They've also found that plants will grow away from sound that's coming out of a speaker that is grating or annoying sounds, certain kinds of really intense music. The plants will grow away from that. Now, the human body has the same capability. It will respond to positive or negative input. Now, the easiest way to tap into the subconscious mind is to use this little method called the sway test. So as you're standing there, very relaxed with your hands down by your sides, let's first of all think about something that we hear every day, unfortunately, on this planet, something that before long is going to end, I believe, forever on this planet, but it's still going on right now. And that thing is called war. Now, we've all heard that word. There have been wars going on. There are wars going on right now all over the planet. And there have been for thousands of years. Now, what I'd like you to think about, though, for a moment is I'd like you to think about what really goes on rather than just hearing the word and letting it go by. Think for a moment about what's really going on. What does that word really mean? What are people doing to other people when war is happening? If you were trying to describe what we do here in this world, okay, to someone from another world where war doesn't exist, what would you tell them? Now, as you're thinking about this, this idea about war and what really goes on, at a certain point, your subconscious mind, if you stay focused, at a certain point, your subconscious mind will start to move you away from that thought of war. You'll start to sway backward. And that's your subconscious mind trying to move you away from that thought. Now, if it didn't work for you so far, you can try it again after, and it will work for you. It usually takes about 3 to 10 seconds or so initially, but the more you do this, the faster it becomes. Now let's try something positive. So again, on something negative, the body will tend to sway backward. On something positive, the body will tend to sway forward, just like a plant moving forward toward the light. So I'd like you to imagine that 1,000 years have gone by. You're living in the future now. So again, just relax there, drop your hands to your sides, and take a little breath. Let it out. We're leaving war behind us now and all of that. It belongs to the old world. And now you're 1,000 years into the future. And life is very different now because you're living in this field of unconditional love. Everything you do now is acted out and done in this immense field of unconditional love. Everything in the universe is filled with nothing but love for you. Imagine for a moment what that would be like, what that will be like, because that is where we're going. Now imagine for a moment a little bit about yourself. Imagine that you have grown over the last 1,000 years and you've become a being of unconditional love. And imagine that the love that fills your heart, that unconditional love, that beautiful, perfect love for yourself, for everyone you know, for all of creation, is so big that that love can't even be contained by your heart. And that love expands out from your heart and it goes out into space and it fills the solar system and it just continues to travel outward to infinity. Imagine living in a world full of people like that. And let me tell you, that is absolutely where we are going. And right now, your body is on its tiptoes, most of you, And that's because your subconscious mind, that spirit within you, that inner you, knows that that is a potential future, a potential reality for you. And it is wanting to move you towards that potential future, you see. And so this is the sway test. Now, we use the sway test to get answers from the subconscious mind, right? And so what you can do is you can use this same inherent capability of your body to sway forward for yes answers and backward for no answers. So what you can do is you can ask yourself, for example, again, close your eyes, relax, hands down by your sides. Or again, if you're sitting, just sit right on the edge of your chair and make this statement for yourself. I have a trapped emotion that needs to be released. And hold that thought. I have a trapped emotion that needs to be released. I have a trapped emotion that needs to be released. Now, your body will most likely sway forward on that statement. And that's your subconscious mind just telling you, yes, that is true. Thank you for asking, right? Because most of the time we don't ask the subconscious mind anything. Now, if you didn't go forward on that one, you may have a wall that's been put up around your heart. And that's a wall of emotions that was probably put up when you were going through something difficult and you felt like you were really deeply grieved or really deeply hurt, and you felt like your heart maybe was going to break. And that's a physical sensation where there's pressure on your chest, pressure on your heart. You can feel like you're choking or like you can't breathe. And most of us have experienced that. If you go through that more than once or twice, the subconscious mind will build a wall to protect your heart. And it's a great short-term measure. Long-term, it's not good because it interferes with your ability to give and receive love and to really manifest that perfect blueprint that's in your heart of the life that you're capable of creating and manifesting in the world. 93% of people have this phenomenon, this heart wall phenomenon. So one more question that you can ask is, do I have a heart wall? In other words, that energy field, that field that is made of all those emotional layers, those negative emotions wrapped around your heart. Ask that question, pose that question to your subconscious mind. Do I have a heart wall? Do I have a heart wall? Do I have a heart wall? And see what shows up. And if your body sways forward on that one, then it means that at some point your heart was going to break and your subconscious mind tried to protect your heart. But that is handicapping you right now from creating the love that you're capable of creating. It's interfering with your ability to connect with higher power, with other people. And it's interfering with your ability to really manifest what you're capable of. So there's a short version, and hopefully that was interesting for you guys, for all of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brad. Everybody is blowing up the chat saying, wow, I fell forward. And I was actually doing it with you in my chair here. And I remember being astounded the first time you and I did this together. It really is very deep and very profound, which is why I highly recommend that people check out your book, The Emotion Code. Before we go to the next segment, Dr. Brad, are there any other closing thoughts or maybe anything I didn't get a chance to ask you that you'd love to leave our listeners and viewers with?
Well, we're just living in such a fascinating, such an interesting time, aren't we? And we have these tools now. The whole purpose of my life and my coming into this world at this time is to bring into the world these amazingly simple yet incredibly powerful healing methods. And the emotion code is one of those. And it's so simple, it's so easy. Children can learn how to do it and are doing it successfully all over the world. But you really do want to try this. If you want to try out the first couple of chapters of the book, without having to actually buy it, you can go to our website at discoverhealing.com. And right at the top of that site, you'll see a link there. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Get your free emotion code starter kit. And that'll give you the first couple of chapters for free. And you can read those And then if you want to continue, you can go ahead and get the book. It's on Amazon and Audible. It's available everywhere. It's available also on our website, cheaper on Amazon. But anyway, if you're new to this, you really need to try this, because it's just so much fun. And it's really, someone earlier said that it's about our birthright. And I believe that absolutely, that we're living in a time now where it's time for us to take back that healing birthright that belongs to every single one of us. There is so much healing that needs to take place in this world. For this world to be able to transform, lots of healing needs to take place. And with the Emotion Code, you can be the catalyst. You can learn this. It's easy. And you can help yourself. You can help your family members. You can do so much healing. It's the easiest, simplest method that's ever been developed, I think. And so, so I would just try to, I would just want to encourage everybody to take a look at this and try it out, because I think that you'll be amazed how well it works, and you're really going to have a lot of fun.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Brad.